So just in like the Humber area alone, there was £13.8 million stolen from 7,471 victims. That's a lot of money. So it's 2 in 5 people have personally been affected by fraud as well. So it's really common. Hi, I'm Alex.
And I'm Alice.
And we're both project managers at Eski Soup, and we're going to be discussing some difficult conversations around topics that we create campaigns on. And today it's going to be about fraud.
Fraud, yes.
So fraud is quite a difficult conversation to have, but it's a very important conversation to have, I feel.
Yeah, I feel like some people, it's one of those topics where a lot of people think, oh, it can never happen to me, but honestly, it can happen to anyone at any point.
Oh gosh, yeah. I think people, if you actually get speaking to someone, it's guaranteed that they'll know somebody that's been a victim of it themselves, or that it's happened to them. But it's something that people are quite embarrassed to talk about as well, I think, if they've been a victim of it, because it can feel quite... Is embarrassing the right word? Because you'd feel, I think people don't like to admit when it's happened to them, but it's important to talk about it so people know that it can happen to anybody. So we were asked to do a campaign from Humberside Office of Police and Crime Commissioner. So they had some budget to put towards fraud prevention. So we put together a campaign across Humberside for people to sort of spot the signs of fraud. And we also spoke to many people that had been victims of fraud. So a big part of the campaign was creating video content and case studies of people that had been a victim. And I think it was 7 people that we'd made separate sort of case studies on, all varying in like the severity of the fraud. And it was really upsetting, actually, some of them. Like it varied from like £100 Amazon voucher to over £300,000.
I can imagine.
And it's absolutely awful to see like the effects it has on. Have you seen that Tinder swindler?
I have, yes. And even watching that, you just think, oh my gosh.
And these people, like, they're savvy, like on the internet and stuff. Like, it's people think that because they know what they're doing, like online, and they can be cautious, it can still happen to anybody.
It's crazy.
Go into such depth, and like it's organised gangs and crimes of people that actually do this for a living. Like, it's not just like
very intelligent.
It's very intelligent and very well thought out. And I think that's something that I realised when we did this campaign. Like, I didn't realise how in depth they actually went. It's quite scary. So going on sort of what we've done, the campaigns that we've worked on around fraud, as I was just saying, we created some case studies, and as part of this campaign, it was Say No to Fraud was the name of the campaign. And we actually had to follow national campaign visuals, but we also wanted to make it feel quite local as well. So that's why we sort of used local people, just to get that local feel, because people pay more attention when it is local. And it's also to show how close to home it is as well. So just in like the Humber area alone, there was £13.8 million stolen from 7,471 victims. That's a lot of money. So it's 2 in 5 people have personally been affected by fraud as well. So it's really common.
Did not think it was that high.
No,
I really didn't.
It's scary. So I think if we go into like the lessons learned from the different sort of fraud campaigns that we've put together, we definitely say that ads need to be standout.
100%.
And I think that's just a really obvious thing to say. But when like the campaigns that we create and sort of selling a product or something like that, we're actually trying to challenge people's attitudes, raise awareness for things. So that in itself is more difficult to do than just selling like, I don't know, a kind of Coke or something like that. So the type of ads that we created for this campaign, there were some localised statistics, sort of the amount of money that had been stolen from people, because again, people knowing that it's on the doorstep, it makes it a lot more sort of apparent to them and makes them want to sort of tell their family and friends about it. We also created a concept, it was sort of the wolf in sheep's clothing. So we wanted to, which was a really like fun play, like Keely, our designer, it was one of the first campaigns that she worked on, and she sort of merged these 2 images together, and it actually ended up
so good.
It ended up looking really good, and the client loved that just because it was just different. And if you were to see that ad, or this ad, you would want to click on it, or that would personally.
What on earth is that?
Yeah, exactly. And it just describes exactly what these fraudsters do.
Yeah.
They sort of perceive themselves to be a sheep when they're actually a wolf. So that was the idea behind that. And then there was also some sort of trick messages that we put out there. Like, we didn't want to we had to be careful how we did it, because we didn't want to sort of be, what's the word? immoral, sort of enticing people to click on something and then it'd be something else. But we did create a couple of visuals that was like that, like click here to win £500, but you're never going to just that just doesn't happen. So it's just to sort of get people to think about what they're clicking on, which worked nicely.
Yeah. Like we said, it's just so key because obviously when people are scrolling, you will literally have their attention for seconds.
Yeah.
So it's got to be something that they obviously want to read more about. That's just something that I don't want to click off.
Yeah.
And it's also important to, you know, have somewhere they can go to or another page where they can find out more information instead of just seeing this ad and just thinking, okay, I've seen this, now what do I do? It's so important to make sure that there is somewhere they can go for more information and for help.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so the next lesson learned for this one is to make sure that you get the voices of the people that have been through something. So obviously for this one, it was fraud victims. And I think that just gives it a really like human element and makes it so that you're not just guessing how these people feel, you're actually sort of getting it from a first-hand experience. So for this, it wasn't just a chat that we had with them in an interview, because a lot of people ask us, like, interviews seem really natural, and like you've got to make sure who you're interviewing is comfortable.
Yes.
Like we make sure that when we're working with people, we have pre-chats with them, that they're really comfortable, they know what we're doing, they know why we're doing it. And I think that's so important. Like it really comes across on the camera as well. So that's one thing I'd really say, is just to make sure that victims have their say, and that or any sort of campaign you're working on, just people that have been through or had experiences in what your actually campaign is about.
Because at the end of the day, they want to help. They don't want anyone else to become a victim of this.
No. So they're the best people to make sure are involved, because it's very easy to guess and just assume. And I think a lot of people with fraud as one, like, well, I would never.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people in their head, they think, oh, maybe it's like an elderly person that's, you know, new to social media and doesn't really understand that there are these kind of people out there that will scam you. That's what I initially thought in my head, but
I was guilty of that too.
All demographics.
Because all the people that we interviewed, there was 7 people, there's just such a varied sort of range of people in there, and it just really goes to show how easy it is to happen. So definitely get people involved that have been through or experienced what your campaign is about. And another thing that I didn't actually mention, what made me really sad, is some like elderly, lonely people, they're the most vulnerable to fraud. And it's sometimes maybe because they feel isolated, and even if they know in their head that they're being, like, someone is trying to take the money, they're still willing to talk to them just because they have that person to talk to, and that absolutely broke my heart. I know. The third one is enhancing visuals of talking head videos. So when we were creating these, it was when a lot of people didn't want to be mixing, so it was on Zoom, so it's just people talking to the camera, which can be quite visually not that interesting.
Yeah, not super appealing.
No. So we made sure that we did a lot of background work with that, and it's really worth putting the time in. So we made sure that the people we spoke to, we asked them if they had any proof, any emails that we could put in over the top of it. We used B-roll footage, and just anything that we could add into the sort of visual part of it, just to make it more appealing. And actually it's a really good example of what you can do with not really much content.
Yeah.
If you just do that background work, it's really worth it. Because even just stock imagery of emails, and you can mop them up. It just works so well.
Yeah, and it'll probably make the audience feel a bit more understanding now that can see a bit more about how it came about.
It's not just somebody talking.
It's just not someone talking.
Yeah, so I think definitely putting that background work in, even though it is extra time, it's definitely worth it in the long run. And video is versatile. So a lot of the work we do, because we have a company that we work really closely with, Storyboard Media, a lot of our campaigns now have video elements to them. And I think something that we've come to realise is how versatile that is, and it's such a good way to put a message forward. So video can be sort of transformed into audio ads. You can also sort of create visual graphics, quote graphics, and it's just something that I think is a really valuable piece of material to have. Would you say?
Definitely, because I know I enjoy watching videos, but not everyone has time to sit and watch a video, especially if they're not, have to plug headphones in to listen to it if they're in a busy place. So even just like snappy quotes and just visuals, really do make a big difference. Because
everybody has a different way of sort of consuming media as well, don't they? Some people love a video, so it's great to have that asset, but then also some people prefer to just see a short snippet of that video or an audio, and I think video is the only sort of media that you can create that is that adaptable, and you can make so many other forms of media from it. So that was just a bit of background on the work that we've done around fraud and just the topic as a whole, really. I think, as we've said, it's something that everybody needs to be aware of. So I would really recommend talking to your friends and family about it as well, because it's something we've all done since we started the working on the campaign. It's something that I knew was out there, and I'd always say to like my grandparents, or don't reply to like these messages and stuff. But it's just having that conversation and making sure that they know.
So yeah, like we said, all the videos will be linked in this description to our fraud campaign if you want to see how they actually turned out, like if you're interested in having a little bit of a further look.
And we're really interested in finding out about sort of other people's experiences, and if you've been working on any campaigns and you can give us any tips. I think that's the whole point of us doing these videos, is to share our experiences, and it'd be great to get other people's thoughts and opinions as well. Thank you for watching.
We'll pop any links in the description.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.